All right. Good day, everyone. Good afternoon, everybody in the West, everybody in the East, and anywhere else it is in the world. Today is the Rookie Critic Corner, Episode 3, and with me today are my guests, Alex Leithes and the Lone Wolf Cub. And today's topic is going to be about space and swords. All right. So you guys want to introduce yourselves real quick? How about you, Cub? How's your day going?
Yeah, hello. Uh, Nice to be here again.
Yep. No problem. And then what about you, Alex?
Hi, yeah, it's me, Dr. Alex, or Alex Leithes if you prefer. And yeah, I just was setting up to record the next one of my videos, in fact, and I was hoping to use the setup for that to do the live stream, but no, I completely failed because Firefox can't handle Hangouts. So I'm back on my phone. So if I cut in and out like a crazed fool, then it's not my fault. It's the phone.
It sounds way more clear than it did last time. And did I mess up your name in the intro? Did I say Leithes or Leithes?
It's Leiths, but
I know.
I was
I don't know if I said Leithes or not. I'm trying to get used to saying Leithes now because whenever I see the ES, I think Leithes.
You can just go with Dr. Alex if you prefer, you know.
Dr. Alex. I'll have to say it in that accent, though. Dr. Alex.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah.
All right.
No,
So, yep, you both were my guests on the two first little episodes of the Rookie Corner. And later today at noon Pacific time, I'm going to be doing the Cinema Squad on the Black Angus Reviews channel. And so today, to start off with the sword conversation, Alex Leithes is a master with fencing and has brilliant sword videos on his YouTube channel. So, Cub, last time you wanted to ask him some nice questions. So why don't you start off with some of those?
Yes, first, the most important question. What kind of doctor are you, Alex?
Oh yeah, that came up in the last stream, but you joined it very late, didn't you? Yeah, I'm a cosmologist. So as I said last time, a literal doctor of time and space.
Yeah, the proper Doctor Who, if anything.
I knew it. I knew it. You are from Britain, so
Yeah.
it has to be a Time Lord. I knew it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I asked you that also in under one of your videos. If you have any, as doctor, if you have any questions for FTA or LTS or STD is very important. If you have anything against that.
Oh no, the comment we were asking if I had any cure for it, and no, my only one was avoid it.
Yes, just avoid it. Yes, that's the best way. I think so.
Yeah. Abstention from STD is the best cure in this case.
Yes, I think so. And the sword fighting thing. The Cyrano de Bergerac video. When I saw it, I really thought, oh my God, he makes one of my favorite movie of all time.
It is amazing. Yeah, I love it. When I watched it again after quite a long time, I think I said in the video, the sword fighting, among other things, just bled into my own fencing. When I was fencing, after watching the first and the most important sword fight in the film, it was affecting the way I was fencing in a good way. I mean, it was making me more thoughtful, intelligent, and witty in the way I fenced. And no, this film affects me every time I see it. It is, and also as an emotional story of a hero, but a flawed, tragic hero who cannot quite overcome the one fear that's crippling him the most, the one that he wants to, the fear of telling the one he loves what he feels. And this is the most tragic aspect of the whole story, I feel.
Yes, and it does affect my life too, since years, or centuries or whatever. My email address is called Bergerac too. I'm such a fan of this movie and of the story, of the book, of the novel, of the theater play, that I named my email after it. And I named it Bergerac 2 because Bergerac 1 was taken. And I met with pure incidents or something like that. I met Bergerac 1. And I told him, Oh, you took this. You took this address. It was it was really crazy. It's a really nice guy.
Did he have panache?
What was it?
Did he have panache?
Yes, yes, of course. And he's also a big fan. He was also a big fan. It was a coincidence. I met him, and he thought also, oh, crazy. Bergerac 1 meets Bergerac 2. It's really. I also went to France and with a colleague, and he wants to. We went to Paris and Avignon and so on. And I told him the only thing I want to go to is Bergerac, the town.
Yes.
To sit there in a coffee and to drink a cup of coffee.
That's amazing. Did you go?
Yes, I did, and I drank my coffee, and also I sent 3 postcards to my former Roxane from Bergerac.
Did you get into a fight over a poem?
Oh no, it was very, it's a long time ago. I think it was 2003 or so, something like that.
Hey, I have a question real quick for you guys. So, since you're both into these sword fighting films, what would you say out of non-American ones is one of your favorites of your sword fighting films?
You mean apart from Cyrano de Bergerac?
Right.
Oh, that's too easy. It's like fried green tomatoes. Or what's your favorite book, novel, film, and what do you like to eat? And then said this guy here on Simpsons, oh, it's fried green tomatoes.
Okay. Well, here's this question. Are you going to do any type of Lord of the Rings based ones, because they are medieval or Middle Earth and based on swords and everything? And are you going to do one on those, or are those too mainstream? Do you like to do just mostly other type of ones that aren't as popular too, or is there a reason, like, if they don't fit into your categories?
Is that for me?
Yeah, for you.
Okay. Well, I did eliminate a whole bunch of films in the first video because of the more strict rules I put in about it has to be fencing based. But I also do love a lot of those films. So I've considered it. I've considered doing requests. Doomcock has requested a film which I'm not going to spoil my top 5, but if his favorite doesn't go in there, I will probably do honorable mentions add on to the series at the end, so I can do extra ones. And I might then branch out into non-strictly fencing-based ones, which would include Lord of the Rings, which is pretty cool. The fight scenes are awesome.
That's a good idea. And I think even if you can't, I don't know what, because they're not fencing styles, of course, but I do think since those are more films that people are familiar with, even if you aren't as in-depth on some of the knowledge with it, I think that they'd enjoy your take on it because you're still experienced with swords. And that's honestly, the sword fighting is one of the least talked about aspects of Lord of the Rings, if I'm honest. Like and not just with swords, with all the other weapons. That was my other question. Do you cover any other melee weapons, or is it just like specifically with fencing that you have knowledge of?
Well, I mean, the only one I do is fencing, and of the 3, I only really focus on épée these days, although I have fenced all 3 weapons. And I'd like to just correct Cub for a second. I'm not a master. In this country, to be a fencing master, you'd have to actually have a professor qualification, which I do not have. I'm not a qualified instructor.
Compared to America, you're probably a master. So
I'm quite good at fencing in my weapon. That's as far as I'm going to put it. I'm not going any higher than that.
All right. Before we continue, I know that Cub probably has a few more things he wants to say. Just want to address the chat real quick. So, hey, how's it going? Dog Sidious, Everything Star Wars, Black Angus, everybody joining us. I'm glad that you guys are here. If we take a little bit to get to the chat, I apologize. We do like to have our conversations in here, and then we'll take little breaks. We're trying to get a flow without a balance both. So if you guys have questions for these guys, that'd be good. Cub is really good with going really deep into a lot of the films, and Alex is great with any fencing movies or sword techniques, and also has interests in other films too, but that's just his content anyway. One of the things, so I don't have any more questions about sword-based stuff, but do you, Cub? Because then after that, we can get into the space topic.
It's for the thing you said for now. You said I go very deep with my reviews, and Alex is very good with his sword fight videos. But the thing is, he makes in-depth reviews of the movie also. It's you get both. You don't just get oh, these are the sword fight scenes and the rest who knows. No, I was so surprised. I was positively surprised when I saw how in-depth reviews I get from classics, from in black and white, also newer ones, and get the whole backstory, and also very much interesting information. It's a complete review also on the movie. It's not just the sword fight scenes.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I do try to. I mean, in Scaramouche, I was slightly forced to truncate the extra material and focus on the sword fights. But even then, I can't resist it, and I have to give more detail. I have to talk about the plot, the characters, and even some personal sort of fencing and sword-based things crept into Scaramouche, which is why that one ended up being over 50 minutes long. So sorry to people with just attention spans.
50 minutes long, that's correct. 50 minutes long without really telling what you think about this ending. I saw what you did there. It was really crazy. It was the first movie of the list. The last movie he reviewed was the first one I didn't see back then, because I thought Scaramouche, it's something romantic. I don't. That's not my cup. But then I saw 20 minutes of your review and thought, oh, it's really an interesting movie. Made a break, saw the movie, and then came back to see the rest of your review. And I was really curious about how you find the movie, because all the other movies you could tell, oh, you like them or something like that. But on this case, I really thought, oh my God, because the story isn't so great and the ending isn't so great, well, story-wise. The sword fight scenes are spectacular. The best ones I saw till now. They are really also better than Cyrano ones. I have to say that. And but the story, oh my God! And I thought, oh, how will you explain that?
Well, there were several things that I wanted to talk about that I couldn't, because I was just really conscious of the length the thing was going to. I mean, the ending, the cameo with Napoleon, the fact that he gets Aline rather than Lenore, which I think is a real mistake. I disagree that this is a weak story. When I made my list, I did it off memory, basically. I thought, what sword fighting films do I remember? Because if I remember them, they've got to be good. And when it came to placing it on the list, I placed it higher than I thought I might, thought I should. But so far, every placing seems to have worked out exactly as I wanted it to. So my memory of the sword fights was enough to elevate this. And then watching it again, I realized that the story is actually good. It's not perfect, and there are flaws, and there are things that we question. I mean, I don't know if Andre Moreau and Lenore have a sort of sadomasochistic relationship, and I don't know if their safe word is Scaramouche. And in fact, it could be reinterpreted today as an abusive relationship. There's a whole load of things that I could have got into that are dubious and really need to be looked at in more detail in the context of today and when it was filmed and when it was written. But all of these things, I couldn't put them in. I couldn't talk about the ending with the cameo with Napoleon. There was just too much to talk about, which again, I think actually undermines what you said about the story being weak. It may not be perfect. It may have odd things in it, but it's actually really quite engaging. And the change of tone, I remember it being light from my ancient memories of it. And when I watched it again, I was thinking, God, have I really made a mistake here putting it where it is? But when the tone changes, when Philippe dies and Moreau suddenly gets some purpose, a very dark purpose as it is, the whole film changes. And I was like, this is a brilliant film. And I stand by where I put it on the list.
Yes, no, I agree with that. When the tone changes, it's really good. But the tone changes a second time, and that's my problem. The ending is also a tone change.
Yes,
and,
yes.
And this tone change doesn't fit at all. That's my problem. I don't have a problem with the movie. I like this movie. It's entertaining, and the fight scenes are really good, and the story is weak, but it's okay for me. Yes, from my perspective. But the ending with another tone shift. I had another movie like this yesterday. Last time when I talked about Venom, and Venom had also this happy ending out of nowhere. It shifts the tone also at the end completely 180 degrees. And I thought, oh my God, what's up with these movies, with this tone shift in the last minutes?
But okay, I'm going to slightly disagree with you again, of course. The tone shift appears light for that last few scenes where he's in the carriage having married Aline. He's got the bouquet. Presumably, he's just joined the nobility essentially by marriage. And the cameo of Napoleon is there for a reason. It's not an entirely light ending. He's just entered the nobility just ahead of Robespierre's reign of terror and the guillotine going mad. It's a happy ending, but with a potentially very dark future just around the corner.
Okay, yes, you're right. I also thought Napoleon. Oh, yeah, it's not really a happy story with him. So okay, no. As I said, I'm totally fine with that. It was just a minor thing, and it's the first time I saw it. I have to see it again and again, and then I can really talk about it.
Yeah, I certainly recommend seeing it again and again. I do.
All right, guys. Well, let's save some sword questions for later. I'm actually trying to write some down so we can have a more specific sword-based one for next time, because these are some good topics going on. But on my mind, still kind of reeling on Doomcock's stream last night talking about space, about some of those phenomena that was happening with the sun and with Jupiter and everything. What did you guys think about that type of topic?
I only caught a few fragments of that stream, and I did throw up some things to some of the more ludicrous things that were being said. But there's so many contributors to Doomcock streams that they just get lost in the.
Yeah, well, and it goes 5 hours long. I can understand how that goes, though. Sometimes I've been streaming the last couple of days, and you end up talking for. You plan on doing an hour, and then it's like 3 hours, and still more to say, and it's like, ah, dang.
But which specific bits did you find either dubious or annoying, or even really cool and interesting?
Well, see, like, I'm of the type of person that believes that it is possible that there are other alien life out there. And I mean, I, for a while, wanted to be an astrobiologist in a way. So somebody who knows stuff about biology and space, basically, to see how life could exist somewhere else. And I like the topic to think that there's a possibility of life on Europa, on Titan, on the moon, even on Mars. There's areas where life could exist. For all we know, there's life forms in the freaking sun. For all we know, just not of ones that we can conceive of. And I think, have you guys ever seen the little movie Alien Planet?
No, I've not seen that one.
It's actually available on YouTube in entirety. If you see my icon, actually, see that in the center where there's that little weird looking creature thing in between Act of Valor and Deep in the Valley.
Yeah,
that's the cover for Alien Planet, and there's experts on it that talk on it, like Makio Keiko, George Lucas, Stephen Hawking, just a bunch of field experts, James Garvin, and they talk about this thing that this college did, I think, for a project where they take you to an alien world, like a simulated journey, basically, and they have life evolve differently on this other planet called Darwin 4, and there's all these different types of creatures that wouldn't be, it's just an awesome way. Like if life evolved somewhere else, that's what could happen. And it's like, that's the type of topic I like to talk about. And I'll probably be making more videos soon about this type of topic because I freaking love space. Did you guys ever hear of the Kepler telescope and what that found?
Kepler is involved in the extrasolar planet, extrasolar
Planetary
planet.
search. Yep, it's exactly.
Yeah, when I saw your videos, Rookie, I mentioned your drawing videos. I mentioned they remember me of a movie, and you told me no, it's not that one. It's the Alien Planet one.
Yep.
And the movie I was reminded of was Fantastic Planet from the 70s.
Right, yeah, Fantastic Planet. I am writing that down. I didn't write that down yet. I'm writing that down.
I'm not sure, Alex. Do you know this movie?
Sorry, what was it again?
Fantastic Planet from the 70s. It's really a movie, an art movie, kind of, but really popular.
No, I haven't come across that one. I'll have to search it out. The Kepler question that Rookie Critic just brought up reminded me. Well, okay, yeah, Kepler is one of the telescopes that's looking for extrasolar planets. And what you were saying before about life in our solar system, we're finding loads of places with water in our solar system. So
yes,
there is potential here, and we're restricting ourselves now. If we're looking at water, we're looking at sort of life forms like us, essentially cellular, carbon-based, some sort of DNA, RNA-based thing. And let's exclude the fantastic energy beings that might live in the sun for the time being, because they're more fantastic. But even if we are really the only life form in the solar system, which is probably unlikely, but you never know. There are so many planets being discovered. We've discovered now that we've gone into thousands of extrasolar planets, and we are discovering potential Earth-like planets now. We're now finding them for real around other stars. And this is just what we can see, and it's a limited range we've got right now. We can't see outside of our own galaxy, and there are 10 to the 11 galaxies in the universe. So the statistics don't really back we are the unique only place in the whole universe that will have life evolved. The downside is how on earth are we going to reach anything even in the next solar system? It's so far away. It's 4 light years away.
True, which is Alpha Centauri, if anybody doesn't know that. And then to go on the Kepler thing too. So the Kepler telescope specifically was designed to point in one area of space, searching for Earth-like planets in the habitable zone of sun-like stars. Habitable zone meaning not too hot, not too cold, could have water on it, kind of like Earth. And they found over 1,000 potential ones. Like they found plenty of planets, like thousands of planets, but maybe like over 1,200 actual potential Earths. And one of them was Kepler 22b. If you guys remember that one in the news before.
Yeah. I was sharing an office with. I was at Queen Mary doing my PhD in cosmology. But Queen Mary's got an incredibly strong planetary science and extrasolar and planet formation group, and they were heavily involved in modeling solar systems, looking how they would be built, and also extrapolating from that to how other solar systems have been built, where they're looking for extrasolar planets. And in fact, they were involved in the pale red dot experiment, which is looking for planets, I think, around Proxima Centauri, which is the nearest one, a very, very small red dwarf. I'm not an expert in this field. I shared an office with these guys, but I'm not one of these guys. So they have better knowledge of this and better details. But we were always talking about this because it is really cool looking for these sort of Earth-like planets, potentially quite close.
It's great. Well, the closest planet the closest solar system, I mean, is Alpha Centauri. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I think actually Proxima is closer, but Proxima Centauri. But yeah,
well, I'll look that up. I don't know. I could have sworn Alpha Centauri was the closest one.
That's what I used to think as well, but I think I've been corrected in the past. So
that could be new information. I'll admit I haven't double checked. The documentaries I watched were from like 2008. So
hey, breaking news. You have to change the title.
Yeah. Wait, I'm going to address the chat real quick, and then Cub, if you want to chime in on this, I'll let you go too. So we got some conversations going on down here, and I asked the question, do you guys think aliens exist? Dog Sidious says nope. And I'd like to see some elaboration on that, but yeah, I do understand why some people would think that too. Everything Star Wars, talking about Xbox, Black Angus talking about sports, and it would be such a waste of space if they didn't. We ain't so original, LOL, says living my Rhapsody. and everything Star Wars. Says he believes in aliens. There's a ton of galaxies. It is endless. It has to be something out there. We can't be the only living life forms out here. If we are, why? I agree with that.
I agree with that too. I just think the major problem is we're never going to see them. Then it's very, very unlikely we're going to get in touch with them because of the vast distances. And light speed does seem to be a speed limit. And
for now, with our known conception of how we can travel or how fast things can travel.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I worked in general relativity as my main field of study, and breaking the speed of light is just not allowed in that theory. Now, it is a theory, and it is incomplete because it doesn't mesh with quantum mechanics or with quantum dynamics. And that also is an incomplete theory because it doesn't mesh with general relativity. They don't meet in the middle. So there's a further theory that will encompass both those theories, we hope. And maybe you could get faster than light travel in that. You never know. If it's something string theory based, maybe. But if you go with strictly what we've got so far, and these theories, I know they said they're imperfect, but they really work well, and they predict to very high levels of accuracy that we've never had before.
Well, Dog Sidious has a good point down here. Dog Sidious says, why is this planet perfectly aligned and nothing else? Now, I know what he's talking about because there's a counter theory to our theory where there's a counter theory to like our theory where there's so much space and room for why wouldn't there be life? But I know what he's going to refer to probably. I'm just assuming Dog Sidious because I've heard about this too, is the conditions for life has to be so specific. Like we have our red sun and it's far enough away from it. There's the big Jupiter. There's the big Jupiter in our solar system to attract a lot of the bigger attention of other dangers. We have our moon that protects us. That's a rocky planet. The fact that we are a rocky planet in this area of the space, which there isn't always the rocky planets this close to the sun. It's sometimes, one or the other, hot or cold, like Mars or Venus, and just all the conditions on the planet to be able to sustain life. Because for a long time, there's different asteroids that would destroy life too. So I do understand what you can mean by that.
If you think this setup of the solar system is like a 1 in a million chance, yeah?
Probably, but by that theory, there's millions and billions of planets, galaxies, stars. Exactly. I know what you're going with too, so that's what I would go with.
And that's also assuming that you can only get a habitable zone around this G-type star, which is no. You can get them set up. I mean, there are difficulties with different star types of where they would be habitable. There's a problem with tidal locked planets when you've got small stars with moderately sized planets nearby. There are issues, but I think restricting or thinking that this is a special setup here, that we are specially favored for life, I think is perhaps a little bit arrogant. That why on earth do you think we are special?
Yeah, I just kind of agree with Alex. I think there's a possibility, but for me, it really doesn't matter because I think here on Earth is so much we still don't know and haven't discovered. And we have so many things that are more important, more problems to solve and so on. And maybe there is life out there, maybe it's not, but I don't see how this changes anything.
Well, I think we can think about both things. We can think about the problems of this planet, and we definitely need to solve them, and simultaneously think about how awesome it would be to have life on other planets. I don't think we have to close off one part of our mind to deal with the other bit.
Yes, I agree. I agree on that. As I said, for me personally, it's not so important. But if there are aliens or life forms out there, it's for me totally okay. Go out with them and drink a beer. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, it would be cool.
Right. Well, it's like the thing is, too, the fact that if we do discover life on other planets, the whole foundation of a lot of what people believe in could be shaken because, a lot of people will claim that there just isn't any life out there and there just isn't. So we are special. But then it's like when we discover there is life out there, then all the concepts kind of change, and the way that we look for life forms change. The way that we act as a species might change because we, pollute our own planets. I mean, if anything, maybe we want to be an example, or we see how they live. Maybe we can't communicate with them, but maybe we can see them on their planet enough and see how they interact. I mean, we can study how another entire different planet civilization would be if they have one. Something.
Yes.
Yeah. We could be signals, perhaps. Yeah.
You have to be a believer if your beliefs will change after that. And I'm not a believer, so it's for me not so important.
I agree with Cub there. I think that in the past, when new information has come to light through scientific discoveries, usually the religions or the religious authorities adjust their views. So evolution and Darwin is now accepted by the Catholic Church, for example. I mean, this is just one church and one example, but views change. People aren't normally shocked and then just decide to end it all because there's no point, their beliefs have been shattered. Or rarely do they continue believing without some adjustment in what they believed before in the face of evidence, although that's not exclusively true. But I think people just adjust, and I don't believe discovering life on other planets is going to cause riots in the street.
No.
No, I don't see that also.
But if they are heading toward us with huge spaceships, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, if they are so stupid.
Pulling a bypass, then yeah, that could be a problem.
Do you guys think that we'll ever reach, or how long do you think it'll take before we can actually leave our own solar system?
Well, the Voyager probes are on the edge of it.
Didn't the first Voyager actually go past the solar system?
It all depends on what you define as the boundary, but I think
I'd say the asteroid field around our solar system, I suppose.
The Oort cloud. Yeah, well, I think they're hitting the bow shock, which is where the solar wind basically meets the interstellar medium wind, if you like. There's a sort of bow shock at that point. I think they were close to that, but again, this isn't my field, so please don't quote me. This is not my.
I will quote you. I'm writing it down as we speak. Just kidding.
Oh, my planetary physics friends are going to kill me if I've got this wrong, but yeah.
That's all right.
Dr. Alex said this and that.
We will quote you for future references. Now, it's still being on
in the newspaper, which is a British newspaper, by the way.
Right. See, so what I was going to say too, to capitalize on the topic, is if we like to go with what Cub was saying before. So if we did discover life somewhere else, I think that our imagination would literally expand just by default, because we'd actually see how life somewhere else were to take form, as to where right now we use what we think life would be. And if we were to see life somewhere else in another form that wasn't from this planet, then our whole conception of how we see a life form would be completely altered.
It would be so cool. I mean, if it was really similar or really different, both outcomes would be incredibly changing of our state of mind. Yeah, if it's very similar, you think, well, how on earth did that happen? You might go back to convergent evolution, of course, but if it's radically different, that would be so amazing. I mean, can you imagine? Well, you can imagine creatures floating the upper atmospheres of gas giants. I mean, science fiction writers have already conceived of that sort of alien, and it would just be so weird and look so different.
Yeah, exactly. And do you hope that we discover humanoid life forms, or would you rather prefer it be microbes, or somewhere in the middle where, like, see, I want to discover life like on Europa, where there could be water, where there could be life forms under the water of the planet. That would be cool to see, like, because that'd be just like the undersea life of our planet, but on a completely different one. And maybe like our own ones look bizarre. I wonder how those ones would look.
Yes, I think it's every time this discussion comes up with this, maybe we found new life forms or something like that, I had to think about something I call this two-dimension thing. If you have life forms that live just in 2 dimensions, and we are a 3-dimension life form, and they even if they know about us, they don't have. I don't think we have any influence of whatsoever with their life. I will call it life. And maybe if we discover something, maybe we didn't really discover it because we can't. We are like these two-dimension forms that discover or not discover something that is already there, or they weren't able to see it in 1 million years. That's
true. But sorry. Yeah, but you're now having to rely. Sorry,
I'm finished.
Yeah, you're now talking about I agree with you. You could have two-dimensional or five-dimensional life forms, but you're now relying upon another universe. This is what doesn't always get clearly talked about in sci-fi, or it's smoothed over and we'll just pretend it's perfectly possible. A two-dimensional universe would, by definition, be a separate universe. It would not be part of our universe because we are a four-dimensional universe, three spatial, one time. And so your two or three dimensional, let's say it's two spatial, one time universe, is by definition separate from us. And actually, our physical laws, the constants and everything else, actually come from the configuration that we have. Our 4D universe gives us things like the speed of light, Planck's constant. All of these things come out of the dimensionality. And if you have a 2D or a 5D universe, it would have different physical laws. So you can't touch another universe because by definition, it's self-contained. Universe, in a very literal and basic sense, means self-contained. You can have multiple universes in a higher dimensional whole or bulk, and this is string theory. So in theory, you can have more universes of different dimensions embedded in a higher dimensional bulk, and they might interact in very catastrophic ways, but they wouldn't overlap in terms of things in one being also in another at the same time, because they would be in their own universes. I know it sounds very circular what I'm saying, but a universe is self-contained.
Alex, you are on the right way. Now put this together with the theory from Einstein, and you have the theory of everything. So we can solve this problem, this stream also.
Well, yeah, that's string theory is an extension from both.
Change the title again, Rookie.
That's all good. It's all good.
We don't have any proof of string theory. And so we're the two theories we have, and even if we had lower dimensional universes, even under basic general relativity, they still would be differently dimensioned universes, and we would not intersect because we'd have different universes with different rules, and they don't overlap.
Well, here, let's say this too. So let's just say that if there were other universes that we can't interact with, you'd say, what's the point of finding them? The point would be that we would know that they are there, rather than looking and then just they're not there, or not looking at all and not curious. I mean, we always will be curious to find new things and learn. So, the pursuit of extraterrestrial life, other dimensions, whatever, that's always going to be a goal. Whether or not we can do anything about them or change anything, just the fact that you discovered it would be the point.
It's outside of our own.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think of it like with math. Like I'm in college, I have to do these stupid math problems. But the goal is the point isn't to solve the problem. It's the act of solving a problem, doing it until you can get it right is the whole point. It's not important that I solve, the polynomials, dividing polynomials with each other or something. No, it's the fact that I did it was the point.
Yeah, you solve problems.
Yeah. That's how I see space and exploration in a way. Also, whether or not it matters, it's still just the fact of doing it. The fact that we could do it, like going to the moon or anything.
Oh, absolutely. I know I'm sounding like the biggest wet blanket in the world here because I keep throwing in actual physics and stuff. And although I always put in these qualifiers saying, look, this is where things stand right now, and it doesn't seem likely that this is the case. But that doesn't stop me imagining all the time. I wrote freaking science fiction. Of course, I imagine outside of the box. Although I think we discussed last time, I tried to keep things pretty grounded in the box we have, but allowing a bit of exploration beyond what we can know for certain. What we know for certain, what we know strongly. So I agree. I imagine what if all the time. I like the Orville episode where they intersected with the 2D universe and the interesting potential interaction there. I don't know how they did it, but I still want to imagine what it would be like if we could.
Yeah, they're also my favorite episodes. Also when they came in Futurama or other series who have this topic, and it's fascinating to imagine it. But I don't think that we are near to discover anything like that. Or I think I'm a little pessimist on this matter.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I would love them to find some evidence that would point towards a multiple universe string theory-like landscape. There have been various speculative things about voids in the universe or distributions of galaxies that don't quite fit what you'd expect. But they're very, very speculative, and they usually turn out to be just a counting error or a statistical not significant difference in the distribution. It's really annoying because it'd be lovely to find some sort of numbing off one universe from another.
But finding something and also get told that it's found, that are two different things. And that brings us to that what I said in the first. I said we have here some other problems, and one of the biggest problem is I don't think if they find something, they tell us. The people who find it keep it for themselves. I'm pretty sure.
It depends who finds it and what they find.
If some government has his fingers in it, we never see any evidence.
Yeah, but if an academic institution finds it, or even something like Planck or Kepler were to discover something that was a marker for alien intelligence, they'd have a hard time hiding that, because the very basis of physics and astronomy in particular, and astrophysics, is open source. We put stuff out straight onto the internet straight away. In fact, in my field, we don't publish our works straight away in paper form. We stick them on the archive, which is an open access repository for all physics papers. And we publish first on the archive, and then we massage it into a better form and get it out in a paper journal eventually. But it's because the field moves so fast, we have to get the stuff out there as fast as possible. And the likelihood is, if someone discovered something like that, there'd be an archive paper that the next morning that they'd scrabble to write, and you wouldn't be able to put the genie back in the bottle. Basically, you could try, but
it's not just NASA who does it. Other countries could find it too, and whatever they do is separate from what we would do in America, anyway.
Absolutely. I mean, ESA run Planck, I think, if I remember rightly. I can't remember if Kepler is NASA or ESA, but yeah, you've got several other agencies. Obviously, the Russians, the Chinese, India, they've all got pretty hefty space programs going on now.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to add, Cub?
I hope it's. I hope if they find something, we also get a note. But as I said, I'm a little bit pessimist. That's how my whole life. So I don't expect that. But if it comes, like you said, I'm happy. I mean,
right. Well, it's like you can be doubtful, but with hope. It's like you doubt it'll happen, but you hope it happens. Like
I agree 100% without the hope part.
Okay. Well, another part of why I love the space topic is because I think that would be a better way to better our own planet as it is. I mean, I feel like they have almost proven that there's plenty of ways that we could live on Mars or start terraforming it so it is a livable place, that there are other resources on asteroids and other planets in our solar system that we could bring to Earth rather than just use our own thing. Like, for all we know, we could find better fuel by mining asteroids, or we can find better sources of water that are clean water. And, we can stop, destroying our own planet by doing that. And I mean, in some way, finding another life forms on other planets might help us realize how we should take care of our own, just based on that. Because right now we shit all over it, but that's just what I think. What do you guys think?
Well, in terms of energy expenditure, I think it would be a lot cheaper to fix it from here rather than bringing the resources from outside. There may be a point, of course, where we do have to start getting resources from other places like the moon, for example. But in terms of energy use and environmental damage, we kind of have the tech now. We just need to spend a bit more money.
I agree, but they haven't changed it yet, so I doubt that they ever will. I mean, I would think if they go, oh, there's new stuff on space, they'll go take it over.
Yeah, the energy thing is the key. We could have other forms of energy today. But if we do that, there are many people who don't earn money from us after that. I said this whole oil companies and so on. And so they rely on that. And that's why I'm so pessimistic. I see the electric car. They are saying it's a new invention, but I know General Motors did 1996 had an electric car, and it was great. And they buried it in the desert with the ET consoles. Yes, and that's no joke.
Well, I do agree too that, I mean, if they do have the technology now for a lot of things, that they won't release it all the time. Like if they have actual better fuel for cars rather than gas, they probably already like hidden that away so that they can still make money off of it.
The first car over 100 years ago was an electric car. It's not a new technology.
Yeah, that is a thing too. Corporations will hide things so that they could still remain profitable.
So
yeah, we have had a genuine we've had a genuine problem with batteries and storage of electricity and getting sufficient mileage. These are real problems. I mean, the milk floats we've had in this country the last 50 years or more, they did a great job of transporting milk in a short distance in an urban environment and, you know, not going between cities. I mean, we've had a problem. There are genuine problems that had to be overcome with electric cars to make them useful in a modern car using economy. But I do think the progress has been much slower because of the profit disincentive that oil companies want to keep oil field stuff running. They want to sell their petrol. Yeah, it's definitely held us back.
It's so dumb though because it's so finite. I mean, they should be, if anything, that they themselves should be trying to get into renewable energy slowly but surely, so that they could still sell their oil but also have the option of their renewable energy, which I would assume would start coming around sometime soon when there's no more fuel. We'll need to get around some way, and it's been proven that they have solar cars, they have many different types of things, biofuel.
If there's no more fuel, you got to find Furiosa, and she protects you.
Yeah.
Alex? Don't go to Max, go to Furiosa.
Companies are not ethical and companies are not intelligent. Companies are there purely to provide profits for their shareholders. So there's no incentive for a company to do the right thing. They will put short-term profits over long-term longevity and survival of the planet any day, because they are only answerable to the board and the shareholders and making money. So there's nothing to make a board, which is a sort of faceless amalgam of people together only trying to make money for their shareholders. There's no intrinsic push to make them change their ways or change their company structure entirely, going from fossil fuels to electric. That's why you need government intervention and the people voting for laws that make clean fuel something that's built into the laws, essentially, the land. You can't trust a company to do the right thing.
True.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That's why I'm a more depressing guy.
I at least try to be optimistic with these things, but you guys are right. I mean, that is true 100%. I would hope that things would be more educated in schools about renewable energy, at least. I mean, we went over it maybe a few times, a little bit briefly in my high school, but it wasn't really nobody really cared. They didn't really make it an interesting topic. It was just like, oh, look, you can get some energy from the sun, whatever. There's some wind, some water, some biofuel. Who gives a shit? That was basically the attitude.
We do it a lot in the UK. It's a large chunk of the syllabus in the science syllabus in the UK.
Renewable energy?
Yeah, as part of all energy sources, but there's a large chunk on renewable. And of course, the downsides of the existing fossil fuel and other, downsides of all forms of energy. They show the pluses and the minuses. It's quite a well-constructed part of the syllabus compared to some others. It's normally done in physics, which used to annoy me a bit because I kind of felt it more in geography. But hey, it's done well here, I think.
Tell me if I'm wrong. Did they make a paint that can absorb the sun rays for energy? Like a paint to go on houses or cars that can be transferred to like one area, like one storage?
I don't know.
I feel like I read this a while ago, like a long time ago, for a high school project, and they either said they were working on some type of paint that actually absorbs the thing, so you don't need a full-on panel or something that just transfers it to one area. As long as there's like a storage place for it to disperse to, then it will take it, and it doesn't need to be direct sunlight, but the actual rays from the sun, or even if it's a cloudy day, they still come through the planet. If you can't. It doesn't have to be light out, but
basically a paint on solar cell. That's what you're talking about, yeah.
Basically, and the fact that there's so many together, like how the solar panel itself, have little tiny components in them that transfer the energy. I think that's how it works. Same would be applied to the paint, but it'd be one massive one that's not just a panel. And as long as there's somewhere for that to go, then it can be stored, and that's what can fuel it. And it doesn't have to be the immediate fuel; it can be stored for later fuel. So. People think that you would need direct sunlight to go. No, you could still store it for later. There's plenty of different ways you can do it. Water is always a source of energy, which people don't use anymore that often, I don't think, except for with dams maybe. Or
solar panels work in any light, and it's just the more light you get, the better. And of course, the most light you get is when it's sunny and you've got direct sunlight on the panel. But that's the point. They have been working to get solar panels more and more efficient. I think they're up to sort of 30% efficient, something like that, or that's what they're pushing towards, which may not sound great, but it's a lot better than it used to be.
Yeah, well, and I've heard people say, like with windmills, they're like, oh, but some of the birds get killed. That's better than having the whole ecosystems of the water be destroyed from farming oil.
Absolutely, I agree. When I see a wind farm anywhere in this country, and there are quite a few, thankfully, I am always happy. I think, yes, that's making use of this horrible weather we have here. And that's a good thing.
Exactly. That's Twister. Use the power of the dangerous weather for energy, for actual gain instead of.
I should never have said that. I'm sorry. When I said horrible weather here, I then realized, no, you have much worse weather. It's just very extremes. It goes from fine to absolute destruction.
Specifically where I live, I don't have shit for horrible weather. It might be a little more rainy in the winter sometimes, and sometimes we get bad snow that is cold and stays as ice for a little while. That's where I live. There's not much bad over here. Other people in the east, however, have it like shit. But or in the south, or I don't know if Germany has horrible weather or not. But
I think it's okay. But I never leave my PC, so I can't tell you.
Okay. PC powered cars or something.
yeah, my computer.
Yep. All right. Well, is there any other topics on the space, energy, swords, anything you guys want to do?
Yeah, what is with space swords? I think it's the obvious one, or no?
Okay, lightsabers.
Yes, lightsabers.
They always look very dangerous to me. I mean, you just drop them, and I think there might be a Robot Chicken episode where they drop the lightsaber, it just falls through the ship, and you hear people screaming as it goes down.
I think it was that, or it was the acid from the aliens from Alien or something that got killed, and the acid was just going through floor to floor or something.
Yeah.
The sword fights in Star Wars. I think you talked about it in one of your videos, Alex.
Only in that I'm not including them in my video series because they're not metal swords.
We briefly touched on it in the last Rookie Corner episode. But yeah, so we already talked about those a little bit. See, I only put space swords in the title because it sounds cool, and because we're talked a little bit about swords and now talked about space for quite a while. But again, this could be a huge conversation, and I want to get like a bigger panel of people on here for another space topic one of these days. But for now, I think this is a pretty good coverage of the topic, I would say.
Yeah, I feel we've done well. Yes.
What I would like to ask Alex, this video where you say which topics you exclude from the top 10 videos of sword fighting. There is one thing I would like to ask you, if you make a special video about it, maybe. This Asian style sword fights, Eastern movies, and so on.
Okay, yeah, that came up in the last live stream a little bit as well. It's not my area of expertise, but yeah, I could do that. I mean, there are films that interest me there, and the ancient ones, which I excluded. You know, you saw Arnie's Conan there. I like that film. I mean, for all there's some weirdness in it, and Arnie's just inherently weird, but it's a cool film. So I'd like to expand, into those at some point.
Yeah, see, what I think is that when you're done with most of your fencing topics, that then, you can, like, you got the majority of what your channel was done, and then you can venture into the stuff that, like that has to do with swords in general. I think that's a good hook for your channel anyway, is, anything with swords in it. and you can just review the movie, and then, maybe compare their type of style that they're using to yours in some way. Like, you haven't done that type of style, but that's a interesting way. Or you could try to imagine or put a scenario where you have like Zorro fighting one of the Eastern warriors or something, if you wanted, like, for fun.
I like that. I like that as a tagline. Dr. Alex, anything with swords in it.
Yes.
Yes, that would be great. You know why I asked that? My name, the Lone Wolf Cub, is coming from a Japanese series, Lone Wolf and Cub. Better known in America or maybe Britain as Shogun Assassin or Okami. It's very popular in Japan, and I think it's one of the most popular topics there. And so I really would like to see something which is in that direction.
Me too.
Okay, I think that goes into the request category then, so I may have to think about that one. I'm glad you named though, because I just assumed it was based on the Choose Your Own Adventure books by Joe Dever and Gary Chalk, the old Lone Wolf series.
Oh, that's really interesting. Nobody really discovered my name, but that's funny. I didn't choose it for my English channel. The German channel is called Der Japango, and Der Japango is the third movie in this series. It's a 6-part series and also a television series. And the third movie was called in Germany Der Japango. So I called my German channel, which I have since 2007, I called it Der Japango back then. And when I made my English channel 2 years ago, I just translated, I just took the name from the English version of the movie. And the name was Lone Wolf and Cub. And I thought, okay, then that's my English name.
Cool.
Alrighty. Well, I think that wraps up this episode of the Rookie Corner. I'll definitely be having the Lone Wolf Cub and Alex Leithes on some more live streams at some point. Yeah, if you guys are up for it, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like having you guys on specifically. You guys bring a different field to our conversations.
Yeah,
this is pretty great.
Good to have a doctor in the chat.
Yes. Do you guys want to tell anybody about videos that are upcoming soon that you guys are working on?
Yeah, my next video is not going to be on swords at all. I'm just about to record one about a Yamaha CP20 keyboard that I've got that I'm giving to my mum for her birthday. But
Nice.
I wanted to do a little review of how it can sound in different configurations. So that'll be hopefully up in the next couple of days, because I need to deliver it on Wednesday.
All right. Well, look forward to that, guys. I assumed when you said you weren't going to do it about swords, it was going to be about cats for some reason. But and then, Cub, do you want to tell people what you're working on?
Yes, I finished my series of John Tiernan movies. I like to make retrospectives on directors. That's something I like to do. And for Halloween, I finished the retrospective of Dario Argento.
Okay, perfect.
First part. He made many movies.
Yep. All right. Well, that's going to close out this episode, guys. And have a good rest of your day. We'll be live with the Cinema Squad at noon. And we are off.